Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Watch for a detailed look at that Colorado weather forecast, and specifically for us here into the Denver area. The next few days are going to be, well, a little bit of an up and down kind of thing. We're going to see temperatures on the, well, we've already seen temperatures on the warm side here on this Tuesday. Tomorrow, we cool back down to around freezing for a high before we get some ice transitioning over to snow. So a little bit of everything. Start things out by taking a look at those headlines. So one more warm day, that is today. Yes, I know some of you warm weather lovers would probably like to see another day in the 50s or 60s for your day tomorrow, but tonight, we get a cold front that swings its way on through. That'll drop those temperatures and bring in that chance, and I would say likelihood for freezing drizzle in and around the Denver area, which, by the way, is pretty rare to see freezing drizzle around here. And then we got a couple of snow chances later on into the week. Current temperatures as of about noon, 50 for us in Denver, 60s for us into the Eastern Plains, 9 Kremling, 21 Eagle, 32 Meeker, and 35 for our friends out in the western slope of Grand Junction. Today, Denver warming on up into the probably mid-ish 50s, around 53. Clouds going to keep those temperatures a bit more in check than yesterday when we got to 62, but today we do get on up into the mid-50s, I would say. Winds a little bit of an issue, but not too bad. You might notice a bit of a breeze this afternoon and also those increasing clouds. Forecast highs for today, 53 Denver, 45 Greeley, where you're just kind of in this little valley there in southern Weld County where you got some of that cold air that drains in. So Greeley, you tend to just be a bit colder than areas around you. Meantime, Eastern Plains, 50s and 60s, generally speaking, 63 Lamar, 62 Pueblo, 33 in Buena Vista, and 31 in Kremling, which is another kind of notoriously cold spot due to, again, some of that cold air being just kind of stuck in some of those valleys. Now, the radar and satellite picture for us across state is calm, but you look up to our north in Montana, that is our next system. Cold front now pushes its way through around Sheridan, Wyoming, north central Wyoming, and as this drops off to the south along I-25, this will usher in some clouds and the likelihood for not only some of that snow for tomorrow, but also some of that freezing drizzle tonight. So again, we do get some of that freezing drizzle late tonight. The thing to kind of keep in mind with this will make roads a little bit slick for tomorrow morning. I do think we'll have some impacts to both the morning and evening commute tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, though, it's just going to be that little kind of subtle glaze of ice, which is almost a bit nastier, right? It's just, again, you get that little bit of glaze out there. You don't think too much about it. It's not getting all hyped up or anything, so it can make things a bit slick and a bit nasty out there on the roads. And by the way, keep in mind, bridges and overpasses freeze over first. You got the air under the bridge and over the bridge, so long story short, those bridges and overpasses do tend to freeze over first. So again, freezing drizzle for tonight. Don't want to overlook it. Then tomorrow afternoon, I should say around noon, we'll kind of transition from some of that light freezing drizzle, some of those clouds, over to a light snow event for us as we get into your afternoon hours here on your Wednesday. And that could lead to a little bit of accumulation, but for most of us, it's going to be pretty light. And then you get on up into the foothills, maybe a bit more, a little bit more into, say, Boulder, Golden, on up by Netherland, and again, western Boulder County, where it could see maybe an inch or two of snow. But the snowfall amounts, I'd kind of almost look past this a little bit here, folks. We're talking about a dusting for most of us, maybe an inch into the west side of the metro, into the foothills. Again, not a big deal, but what will be a big deal, you've got the ice, a little bit of glaze of ice in the morning that I've been talking about. Then you get a little bit of snow. That'll make things slick. Again, maybe a bit deceptive because we're not talking about 3 to 6 inches of snow. If I was telling you we're going to have 3 to 6 inches of snow, you'd go, well, of course it's icy. Of course it's going to be slick out there. But when we got just a little bit of glaze of ice and then you cover that up with enough snow, it makes those roads pretty treacherous. Just keep that in mind out there. We could be looking at some extra slick conditions. Now, as we get into your day tomorrow, we're going to be topping out only in the low 30s, and we will be looking, again, just a little bit of ice and a little bit of snow, but not a huge deal in terms of the snowfall accumulations. Again, I would say the bigger impacts will be to the roadways. Meantime, we do get that possibility for not only one storm system to drop its way on through on your Wednesday, we get a second one that arrives on your Friday, and that is the one that does bring us maybe a bit more in the way of some of that snowfall out here as we get into your Friday. So we are going to be looking likely out here at a couple of inches of snow for the mountains. So by the way, the mountains where we haven't seen snow in a little while, we'll get some of that here as we get into your Friday. Denver area maybe about midday, but probably more into the afternoon when we see some of that snow work its way into our region. And then by the time we get into your Friday afternoon, we do see some of that snow develop for us out here as well. Again, maybe not a huge snowfall event, but enough to slick up those roadways for the drive home on your Friday. If you're heading on up into the mountains, you're going skiing this weekend, just keep in mind that we will be looking at some of that snow that will make things a bit slick on 285 and I-70 here as we get into your Friday afternoon and your Friday night. Then we clear things on up by your Saturday morning. We got a beautiful weekend ahead, a little bit chilly on your Saturday, but then we warm on up for your Sunday. But meantime, this is from storm number 2, the second of the 2 systems that swing their way on through the region. Mountains, a couple of inches of snow for us. Again, we could use it, so happy to see that. And then Denver area might be underdoing this a little bit here. I would say we're probably looking at an inch or two in town on your Friday night, Saturday morning, if the system stays far enough north where we do get enough moisture here and to see some of that snowfall for us here into Denver. Southern Colorado may be a bit more favored, maybe 3 to 6 inches from Pueblo on south into Trinidad, La Junta, Lamar, maybe again 2 to 4, 3 to 6 inches worth of snowfall for us. So that's how it looks, but the way I'd label it for your Friday and Saturday, snow big deal. Again, we'll be seeing some impacts, but not a whole lot in the way of impacts for many of us here into the Denver metro area from that storm system. So here's a look at that 7-day forecast before I start taking some of your questions for you. And we are going to be looking at the possibility for 2 snows this week, one on Wednesday, another one on Friday, before things do clear on up as we get into the upcoming weekend, and that'll last in early next week. All right, got a couple of questions here for our Facebook viewers. Really appreciate all of you, by the way. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully, again, because of the longer format that I can get in more detail and answer some of your questions. So if you got them, you get it, right? Feel free to shoot those questions on in. So David saying thank you. Appreciate that as well. Roberta asking, how many different kinds of snow are there? By the way, a little bit of to that question there, Roberta. Of course, snow is just frozen water, right? So there's not a different kind of snow, but what can be different about snowfall is the temperature. So for example, if it was snowing and it was 22 degrees versus 32 degrees, the amount of snow that would accumulate would be a lot higher with a 22 degree snowfall than a 32 degree one, because the liquid to snowfall accumulation ratio goes up. So if you had 1 inch of rainfall at 32 degrees, you'd probably get 8 inches of snow from that. But when you get it at 22 degrees, you get an inch of liquid, an inch of rainfall at 22 degrees, then you're more likely looking at about 15 to 20 inches worth of snowfall, because you get that fluffier snow. You're getting more little bits of air in between the snow, and so it turns into fluffier snow, right? If it's at 32 degrees, the best way to put it is you're getting that really kind of gloppy, wet snow. It's perfect for snowballs, right? It kind of packs together really well, but it's really wet. At 22 degrees, it's a lot fluffier. So there's not necessarily different kinds of snow, but you can get different kinds of accumulation from snowfall depending on the temperature out there. Hopefully that made sense. Anyways, meantime, let's go back to those questions here. Just wanted to explain that quickly to you. And it does look like we have seen, I think that's actually it for those questions. Sorry, I'm reading through the comments. Appreciate all of you again for watching out there. And greetings to Oslo, Norway. Wow, that is quite the interesting person to be joining us here for Denver weather. But meantime, thanks again for joining us here on 9 News Weather. Meteorologist Danielle Grant will have your forecast at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight. In the meantime, so long and have a great rest of your day.